Yes. There are quite a few mountains. Yes, yes, yes. And could you get me all the top secret bases under any mount? I know that there was NORAD, and they decided to lease the place for the making of the Stargate show. Yeah, but I wanted to have that for myself. And I'll probably talk to Stargate about leasing from me. Yes. But let's say you're a Marine and you needed your own top secret mountain to have your own Marine top secret base. Because you were sure that the Marines needed to have some place that no one had any knowledge of. Yeah. Now, in the Bible, they had Mount Ararat. Yes, according to the biblical tradition, that's where Noah's Ark landed. Yeah. I've actually seen pictures where I thought that the Ark was actually there and then somebody removed it for whatever reason. They didn't want us to think that there was a real flood. Poop. And then they have the Mount Olympus there in Greece. Yeah. Oh, and the Mount of Olives. Could you get me 20 miles down underneath that? Yes. The Church of the Ascension stands on the Mount of Olives. Yeah. I've been reading the Bible lately about, well, just certain truths that I think if you ask and you shall receive. Yeah. Some favorite scriptures. Why don't we find out what's underneath the Mount of Olives and Mount Ararat and these biblical locations? And then there's Mount Rainier. Oh, not so far from where I live. I thought somebody put a top secret base underneath Mount Rainier so that they could manufacture some top secret products that seem like they're metal, but they're actually organic nanotechnology. So you could sew the Marines into the electric grid and have control of their penises. Now, as far fetched as it sounds, I get quite often when you have the capability of of making a NORAD. Air Force used to have that. In fact, there's that radar system of the NORAD. You remember what? It goes along the northern part of the United States. It's kind of one of these special systems where it's there to make sure that no nuclear warheads hit the United States. Why don't we call it NORAD? Because I don't know where they moved it, but I think they set. Well, could you get me the radar on any Marine base that happens to use a? You didn't put anything under Mount Rushmore, did you? The Marines decided that they would have something under Mount Rushmore. No, I know. There's a place called Mount Vernon, and George Washington had his personal estate, and he was a Mason. Why don't you get me 20 miles down there? I mean, when the first president of the United States was a very vocal uh, example of masonry. Yes. And he became the president. There's no way that you, as Marines, would use his personal state as your top secret base for making any.